Hello dear students, in last lecture we have discussed about the molecular structure of DNA, also different experiment carried out by different scientists to prove DNA as a genetic material with respect to the Griffith experiment, Abram-McCarthy experiment. This type of experiment, by performing this experiment, they proved that DNA is nothing but a genetic material which transfers genetic information from one generation to another, and by degrading that particular DNA we can block the transfer of genetic information by using this experiment they have. So next lecture we will, in this lecture we will discuss about what are the molecular properties of DNA. Previously we have discussed molecular structure. In this we have discussed about the molecular properties of DNA. In this regard, melting point of that particular DNA strand, breathing, what is meant by DNA breathing, what is meant by DNA bending, DNA flexibility, novel structure of DNA, leaking number, and major and minor group. These are nothing but a molecular properties, and these are the properties in which particular strand of DNA can be defined, or proper study of that particular DNA can be carried out, and these properties are helpful for the molecular characterization of particular DNA sequence or sometimes DNA strand, or for genetical engineering. For this, all these methods, different molecular level techniques are dependent. So that's why we have to know about this. So first we discuss about the DNA melting. Dissociation of the double-stranded DNA helix into single point is referred to as a DNA melting. Melting suggests itself as a melting point, or you can say melting temperature. In that case, at what temperature double-stranded DNA is now dissociated into single form. So in this way, by using particular temperature, we have to break down the bond formation between nitrogen bases which are formed between purine and pyrimidine bases. So depending upon the number of bonds, we require particular temperature to dissociate that, to break that particular bond between the nitrogen bases. So in this way, to dissociate double-stranded DNA into single-stranded DNA, we require a particular temperature, and that temperature is nothing but called as a DNA melting. It can be accomplished by simply heating double-stranded DNA, and that dissociation of double-stranded DNA into single-stranded DNA, it can be carried out by only melting a particular DNA strand at particular temperature. Okay. The temperature at which DNA strand dissociate into single coil depend on the number of hydrogen bonds holding the complementary strand. So, as the melting temperature is more, that means the bond formation between nitrogenous bases is more, and nothing but as we can see, these are the hydrogen bonds. So here, number of hydrogen bonds is more, the temperature for dissociation of the double strand into single strand is more. So by this way, number of hydrogen bonds, how many are present? So they are nothing but a direct proportional to more the hydrogen bonds, more the melting temperature. There are two hydrogen bonds between adenine and thymine, and there are three hydrogen bonds between guanine and cytosine. As in previous lecture, in molecular structure of DNA, we have already discussed. Adenine always pair with the thymine by forming a double bond, while in case of guanine, always pair with the cytosine by forming a three bonds. So, and here also we have discussed the Chargaff rules, ATGC ratio, as number of adenine bases are equal to the number of pyrimidine bases, as they are complementary base pair sequencing. So total number of purine is equal to nothing but a total number of pyrimidines. So as total number of nitrogen bases are more the hydrogen bonds are present. As there are guanine and cytosine ratio is more, the hydrogen bonds becomes more, as that melting temperature can be increased. Therefore, in principle, the more G and C, or we can say G plus C contain, the sequence, the higher temperature is needed to melt a given fragment. In molecular characterization, we can also count G plus C content of particular organism or their DNA sequence. So that's why as G plus C content are more, temperature for the dissociation of double stranded DNA to single strand is more. It depends upon the hydrogen bond. Using DNA denaturation process, some aspect of DNA can analyze like GC content temperature, as we have discussed. By determining the DNA denaturation temperature, genomic difference between the two strands can be determined using DNA hybridization technique. It is nothing but a DNA hybridization technique. They are more useful for genetic engineering, or we can now use hybridization technique in so many experiments. So, for particular breakdown of particular DNA, as we already know about the proper GC content or proper melting temperature of particular DNA strand, so we can easily carry out the hybridization DNA hybridization technique. So here is nothing but a modification or manipulation of DNA strand. So in this technique, this melting temperature can be taken. The process of DNA melting is also useful in molecular biology, like in polymerase chain reaction, that is PCR, as it is carried out at different temperature. Here also the polymerase chain from single stranded DNA, double stranded or complementary strand can be formed, and they are annealing, de-annealing. These are the different processes which are carried out in, during the PCR or you can say polymerase chain reaction, and for each step it requires different temperature. So with respect to that procedure and that particular melting temperature, as we know about the particular melting temperature of the DNA, we can follow, or with respect to that melting temperature, we can carry out our experiment for polymerase chain reaction. Though melting temperature is not a diagnostic technique, however, can be useful for determining the appropriate temperature for the protocol. Suppose, though it is not a diagnostic technique, apart from that, to standardize some sort of protocol during molecular biology, or you can say any processes. So, if we know previously already know about the melting temperature of particular DNA, so that we can easily standardize our protocol with respect to that melting temperature. So it is melting temperature. This is the molecular property of DNA. DNA breathing. DNA breathing refers to the spontaneous local conformational fluctuation within double strand. Double stranded DNA. It is nothing but a local conformational fluctuation inside the double stranded DNA. So that is called as the DNA breathing. It is nothing but a conformational fluctuation of the double stranded DNA strand. This conformational fluctuation leads to the breaking of base pairs and exposure of this base to the surrounding solvent. As we have already discussed, double stranded DNA are double stranded. During the conformational change or fluctuation, what happens? Some bulb or some bubbles are formed inside the double strand DNA. So that's why this double strand, this complementary base pairs of this DNA now separated into single strand, and that particular bulb is formed to particular location. As the particular bulb or the bubble is formed, these DNA nitrogenous bases are now exposed to the external environment. That's why some different enzymes or proteins can be enter inside the double stranded DNA, or some enzymes can bind to the particular single stranded DNA, and different processes are carried out. Sometimes they are helpful, or sometimes we can say complicated process regarding the different processes. The opening of double stranded DNA result in the transient single stranded DNA region containing one or more bases, possibly allowing protein to gain their initial access to the DNA. It is nothing but a transient single stranded DNA region, in which case one or more nitrogen bases or one or more bases are involved, but at same time, sometimes the particular proteins or enzymes can be bind, so that it acts as an initiation mechanism for different processes. Like DNA breathing can be helpful for physiological processes, like binding of single strand binding protein leads to the initiation of replication and transcription. As we have discussed, as the bubble is formed and double stranded DNA is now separated, at same time single stranded binding protein, or we can say SSB, as it binds to the particular single strand, it now move towards another strand, and that time replication process can be started. For replication, we require a well separated single stranded DNA. So this breathing nothing but helpful for these replication processes, or in case of transcription processes. So DNA breathing are nothing but helpful to carry out these physiological processes which are carried out normally inside the every cell. Here in this diagram you can see it is nothing but the fragment of DNA strand, or you can see it is nothing but double stranded DNA. What happen? Here is the formation of bulk. In that case, that double strand tightly bonded nitrogen bases now gets separated. That's why here getting entry to some proteins or enzymes. That's why they bind to the particular single stranded DNA, and in that way your replication process or transcription process can be carried out. So it is nothing but a molecular properties of DNA with respect to DNA breathing. Okay. So we have discussed already DNA melting and DNA breathing.